Did you ever hear a voice or two reaching out to you only to tell you what to do and wondered,
Oh shit, I was never alone?
yeah, me neither. Jeanne d'Arc, nicknamed the Maid of Orléans, also known in her English written version as Joan of Arc, born during the Hundred-Year War, patron saint of France, heard voices at a young age, convinced she was acting under divine guidance, leading the French army and pushing back the English from taking over the French throne, and helping Charles VII get crowned as the rightful king, only to be burned at the stake. Now sit back and enjoy as I unfold the real story of Jeanne d'Arc. What did the creator take as inspiration from her story? What did they change or improve on? If a voice started telling me to go fight my enemies and destroy them, will I do it? Yes. There's a high possibility that Jeanne never heard herself as Jeanne d'Arc. First written record of her being called that way was in 1455, 24 years after her death. But she wasn't taught how to read and write during her childhood. She did dictate her letters. She referred to herself as Jeanne la Pucelle, Jeanne the Maiden, or La Pucelle the Maiden. She then became known as the Maid of Orléans. She is the daughter of Jacques d'Arc, who was a tenant, local official, and or a farmer. Her mother, Isabelle Romé. She had 3 brothers, Joachim, Pierre, Jean, and a sister named Catherine. Jeanne was believed to have been born on January 6, 1412, in Domremy-la-Pucelle, France, by the borders of Lorraine during the 100-Year War. Her mother taught Jeanne her love of the Catholic Church and its teachings. Jeanne always attended Mass and practiced as a Catholic. She did household chores, she helped her father in the fields, and looked after their farm animals. One day, a prophecy was said by Merlin. Yes, that mythological wizard who helped Arthur become king, that quote, France will be lost by a woman, but will be saved by a virgin from the borders of Lorraine. At 13 years old, Jeanne started to hear voices and have visions in her father's garden of St. Michael, St. Catherine of Alexandria, and St. Margaret of Antioch. She is now 16 years old. She saw St. Michael, St. Catherine of Alexandria, and St. Margaret of Antioch, telling her to head to Orleans and find Robert de Baudricourt, and he will help her crown Charles as the rightful king of France in order to end the 100-Year War. May 1428, she asked him to take her to Caen to see Charles because saints she saw in a vision reached out to her and told her to do so. I couldn't imagine what Lord Baudricourt was thinking. A 16-year-old girl telling him what to do? He laughs at her face and sends her back home. No worries though. This young girl is persistent. Jeanne returns to Vaucouleurs in January 1429 to see Lord Baudricourt, but this time with the following of her own. Lord Baudricourt finally was like, was given a horse, dressed in men's clothing, cut her hair shoulder length to disguise and prevent from being raped. Glad I don't live in the Middle Ages. She then started her 11-day journey to Caen. Keep in mind, she's passing through enemy territory. In late February of early March 1429, Jeanne meets Charles at a royal court. Charles was very hesitant to meet her. His advisors told him to be aware. He dressed up as a corridor before she arrives and see if she is special as she claims. And bam, she immediately identified Charles. Jeanne told him she's going to help him become the rightful king, taking him to Reims, but because it's under English territory, they need to take back Orleans from the English so then they can go to Reims because that's the traditional site for coronation. It is said that in private, Jeanne was able to convince Charles by telling him things he only said to God in prayer. Now, before Charles can move forward, he has his peep squad to examine her, see if she's a good person Catholic. His peeps tell Charles, quote, nothing improper has been found in her, only good, humility, chastity, pity, propriety, simplicity, end quote. These records went missing or were never found. Charles's mother-in-law, Yolande of Aragon, verified her virginity. Boys, she's good. Charles now tells her, alright, you need to take back Orleans. Jeanne was ready to have her own army. When Jeanne appeared during the 100-Year War, it was during the Lancastrian War in 1413 to 1422 at Agincourt. Jeanne's first mission is to join a convoy assembling at Blois under the command of Marshal de Boussac and Gilles de Rais to bring supplies to Orléans. It is said that one of Jeanne's reputed miracles took place in Orléans. The wind bringing the boats upriver suddenly reversed itself, and now they can sail back to Orléans, even with an injury on her foot, and got hit with an arrow between her shoulder and neck. Jeanne kept fighting. The English suffered heavy losses and retreat. The siege was now over. Now it's time to get Charles to his coronation at Reims Cathedral. Reims is under English territory. For the next 5 days, the French were able to push the English out of L'Oreal Valley. On July 1429, King Charles VII was finally crowned in the traditional seat for French kings. Jeanne was so glad she completed 2 tasks, but this isn't over yet. There's still parts of France being controlled by the English territory. King Charles wanted to negotiate, not attack Paris. Jeanne kept persisting but became a nuisance to King Charles. Eventually, King Charles ended up attacking Paris. But after Jeanne went under enemy fire, King Charles had to call it off. That Jeanne did not like to give up until something happens to her. While in battle, Jeanne was pulled off her horse and captured in Champagne in May 1430 by Burgundians, sold to the English, kept as a prisoner in a castle in ruin. Jeanne was then charged with heresy, witchcraft, and cross-dressing. King Charles never made the attempt to rescue her. If he does so, history has its eyes on him, because he's being held by a witch or a heretic. She was guarded by English soldiers when she was supposed to be guarded by nuns. She dressed up as a man in tight clothes to prevent from being raped. Bishop Pierre Cachon of Belvoir was the English partisan who played a prominent role in Jeanne's trial. Jeanne was questioned numerous times. Questions like, quote, if she knew she was in God's grace, end quote. This is a scholarly trap. Church doctrine believed that no one can be certain of being in God's grace. Answering yes means she would have convicted herself of heresy. Answering no, then she would have confessed to her own guilt. She answered, end quote, if I am not, may God out me there, and if I may God so keep me, end quote. Jeanne attempted to escape by jumping off a tower, but it failed, though she survived. They tried to force her to sign a confession denying she ever received divine guidance. She was threatened by being displayed in front of those middle-aged torture machines. Nothing. Jeanne's trial lasted for about 5 months until she was ruled to be burned at the stake. On the morning of May 30th, 1431, Jeanne was burned at the stake and ruined for heresy, witchcraft, and cross-dressing. She was able to be given a confession and receive communion. She was asked to be given a cross, which she held close to her chest, and began praying. Jeanne does not believe that God had forsaken her, and the 3 saints she heard were divine in nature. One source says that her body was burned 2 to 3 times just to make sure she was dead. Was that really that necessary? One legend says that when her ashes were being collected, her heart survived. Then, they threw her ashes on the Seine River. She was only 19 years old. Jeanne d'Arc's conviction was investigated around 1450 by Inquisitor General Jean Brehal, requested by her mother, letting him know to subscribe to Assuming Fire's YouTube channel and follow her on Twitter to clear her name. Wait, no. That is so not- Wait, no! She wanted to reverse the damage that was done to Jeanne's name. Appeal was authorized by Pope Calixtus III, finally clearing her name. Jeanne's fame increased after her death. She was canonized by Pope Benedict XV in 1920. Her story inspired many works of art and literature. She was revered as a martyr, viewed as a feminist, and a symbol for freedom and independence. After the French Revolution, she became a national symbol of France since Napoleon Bonaparte. Now, we introduce you, a ruler whom I worship at her feet. I'll be focusing only on Fate Apocrypha ruler Jeanne d'Arc for timing reasons. Fate fans know how complicated the Fate universe is. It is still taking me time to understand it. I'm going to explain this the best way I understood it. If you still feel confused, walk it off. No, seriously, sucks to suck, not doing that today. For whatever reasons, the Greater Girl has started 2 teams of 7 mages and servants designated into red and black teams. Acting director for the red faction is a priest named Shiro Kotomine, but he has his own plans to bring salvation to the world, whatever the hell that means. Ruler class servant has been summoned to organize the Greater Grail War, in other words, being the mediator, one who oversees the war, in case things get chaotic and messy between both teams. When talking about Apocrypha, Jeanne d'Arc, I'll call her Ruler for simplicity. Ruler reaches out to a French girl named Laetitia, asking if she can possess her body. She agrees. Ruler and Laetitia share 2 personalities merged together as one, so Laetitia sees things as if she's watching through a window. Now Ruler has to fly to Trifas, Romania. Ruler starts to have what seems to be flashbacks about her past life when she was burned at the stake. Ruler truly thinks there must have been a mistake, her being summoned as a ruler for this war. A request by Siegfried upon his death. Ruler swears to protect Sieg's life and soul. All that Ruler wants for Sieg is to be safe and free, even lying to him about the state of others, and he should take advantage to start a new life. She had received a revelation how Sieg was destined to fight. She doesn't want that to happen. Ruler continues to get more visions on future events as a warning or a sign. Now turns out Shiro Kotomine is also a ruler, Amakusa Shiro Tohisara, from the past Holy Grail War, being the reason why she had to borrow Letitia's body to be summoned. Ruler revisits in her mind the aftermath of her execution from her past life. Then Laetitia asking, why go through with it? Ruler responded, my death was not meaningless. It will bring faith. She still has hope for her humans despite how difficult it may be to love them. When William Shakespeare uses his novel Phantasm, first folio, when the curtain rises, the applause shall be as 10,000 thunders on her, we see more of Ruler's past life. Her mother, confronting her if she really needed to leave home, only to be burned at the stake at age 18. Confronting the death of French and English soldiers by her and around her, finally confronting what would have been her execution, but it ends up being Sieg, reflecting how Ruler allowed Sieg to participate in the war. This is personal for Ruler. She was burned at the stake in her past life. 2. His death is resulted by her actions. Question whether she truly was protecting Sieg's life more than everybody else. Ruler fights back and then sacrifices herself using La Poussière. After a bit more fighting from Sieg, the war is over and Laetitia now gained full consciousness and even confirms Ruler's true feelings. Apocrypha ends with Ruler trying after a long time and finally finds him at a place that is called Reverse Side of the Worlds. She admits her feelings to him. Laetitia is the perfect body vessel. Both share a high physical and spiritual build, personality, and magical energy. Laetitia has blonde hair with the Disney Rapunzel haircut going on in the front, except her back bottom layer is long, straight, and wavy, reaching down a bit below her hips, with amethyst-colored eyes. Laetitia doesn't braid her hair at all like Ruler does, like she just has it down. For battle, she wears a navy blue long-sleeve battle dress going down to her feet, cut open from the left side. Below the breast, a metal armor-looking skirt that goes on top of the battle dress, long blue navy socks going above her knee, with silver boots, silver armor on her hands, chain on her neck and breast area, her silver head armor piece in front of her head, and her banner she uses like a spear. Because she is the mediator during this Greater Grail War, she has a special command seal on her back, shape of an angel in red. She is reserved, uncommunicative, like a plain and quiet 16-year-old girl. She steps up if she needs to put order first and wields her sword to remind others of the rules. She believes that, and quotes, All people and heroic spirits participated in the Holy Grail War are important, end quote. Ruler's abilities are knowing how to read and write through Letitia, as she didn't learn to do that in her past life, has the ability to sense the area of Trifas. She can use her command seals to control other servant classes to fight with her when it's necessary, if there's a threat to the Greater Grail. Ruler uses Urbana to activate her noble phantasm. Limonosité Eternelle gives a equally powerful defense blocking all physical attacks. This is based on real Jeanne waving her flag on the battlefield, and possibly she hardly ended with numerous wounds. Her second noble phantasm, La Poussière, her outfit is white and a bit more revealing. She activates fire from the ground, heading towards the enemy. In exchange of her life, she can destroy anything in existence. But the enemy must be evil, or at least Ruler views it as evil if she wants to destroy it. So, how does this version of her compare to the real Jeanne? To do this, I'll rank the similarities from appearance, personality, and past life between Ruler and real Jeanne. Finally, how do the creators use this for their creative freedom? A1 is, what the hell is this? To A5,
Huh? You're really a popular guy.
real Jeanne's appearance when it comes to her hair was black and with brown eyes. One source says that she was about 1.58 or 1.60 meters tall, so about 5 foot 2 inches tall. Same source says she had a red mark behind her ear. When Jeanne joined the war, we don't know how long her hair was before she cut it. We just know she cut it in a short bob fashion just above the ears, a fashionable hairstyle for men during the Middle Ages. Real Jeanne kept her hair short fully through her military campaigns and during her prison time. Ruler doesn't have the same appearance as real Jeanne, obviously, for the eye color, hair color, and hairstyle, because real Jeanne had her hair short with natural hair color, natural eye color. Ruler's hair again looks like that Disney Rapunzel haircut going on in the front. Her back bottom layer is long and she braids it, and it has a navy blue bow at the end. But I personally like that unique anime look. When it comes to what Ruler wears in her civilian clothes, obviously will not be worn back in the Middle Ages. But I think it fits Ruler's modern day sense of style. Whoever designed the head armor piece that she has in front of her head is a genius. It's stylish, and it makes Ruler more look like a badass. My score could be 2 out of 5, but giving it an extra point, so 3 out of 5 for her stylish silver head armor piece. Real Jeanne's personality is described as, quote, virile bearing, spoke little, showed an admirable prudence in all her words, had pretty woman's voice, and was persuasive, end quote. But from the moment she met Lord Baudricourt and Charles, she was more open and expressive, especially telling her commanders how to proceed in the battlefield. Ruler's personality is reserved, uncommunicative, but overseeing the Greater Grail War, she's just as expressive like real Jeanne. My grade for this is 4 out of 5. Real Jeanne's story starts when she hears voices of saints at age 13, then appearing at age 16, telling her to find Lord Baudricourt to take her to Keon to see Charles. Real Jeanne was able to get Charles to the traditional side of coronation at Reims. There is conflict between King Charles and real Jeanne regarding how to proceed in Paris. Real Jeanne was pulled off her horse, sold to the English, and spent time in jail. She had to wear men's clothing and tied to avoid being raped by English soldiers when she was supposed to be guarded by nuns. Trying to get her to admit to heresy, after various ways to get her to talk, she was charged with heresy, witchcraft, and cross-dressing. Burned at the stake at age 19 years old. Ruler's story starts with the Greater Grail War in Trifas, Romania. She was summoned after possessing the body of Letitia. 2 times we've seen what it looks like flashbacks of Ruler. We learned about her past life, burned at the stake, and Letitia confronting Ruler about certain emotions and feelings. I would say Ruler and real Jeanne's story is very consistent, except for maybe the possibility at the age Ruler and real Jeanne were burned at the stake. Ruler's past life says that she was 18 years old, while real Jeanne might have been 19 years old. The main focus of Ruler is moments leading to her death. So there isn't much to compare and contrast here. My grade for this is 2 out of 5. After watching Fate Apocrypha, I personally thought the animation, the intros and outros and music were beautifully made. And I just finished the second part 5 days ago for this video. I know, right? I am a true fan. Okay, get off my back. The way the servants are portrayed through their personality is well done. Well, at least the ones that I know. There's a lot of suspense that felt very personal to all characters. Comparing this war with other Fate series, at least the ones that I have watched, here there's more mages, more servants. We see each mage and servant deal with some form of trauma, but there isn't enough time to dissect because there's already enough chaotic things happening at the same time. I was on the edge the most for Ruler. The decisions she was making despite being a ruler servant were based on her emotions towards Sieg and always looking at her past life. One thing that sat with me was, why would Ruler lie to Leticia at first on the subject of how Ruler was handling things? Telling Sieg not to be involved? I mean, she clearly knew she doesn't regret anything in her past life leading up to her death. Why is it different for Sieg? I kept wondering what she was possibly thinking. I feel like with her, it was definitely the most personal. I have been wanting to roll for her, and hopefully one day I get Ruler in Fate Grand Order. One day. So my grade overall for Fate Apocrypha is 3.8 over 5. Though the look of Ruler is obviously not similar to real Jeanne, I still think her look and design is perfect for a modern look. Ruler's, Leticia's, and real Jeanne's personality I think share a lot of similarities. I would like to see a story where we see Ruler and Leticia again and possibly how they react to given situations. I don't know, something like that. I feel though they could have added more about her story, not in heavy detail the way I did in this video, but yeah, a small story like how we see FGO's interludes. What are your thoughts on my grade? You can go and type it on the comments below. Do you agree or disagree? If so, what parts did I miss? Let me know if there's something else you want me to look into. If you liked this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Until next time, remember, I'm a semi-fire. I am out like a candle. Adios!